and welcome back to FiddleUP. I'm Emerald Ray, and today we're going to be learning Wheelhouse. This is a really cool tune that is in the bluegrass and old time repertoire, and I love this tune. I use this for contra dances all the time and other just random jamming, and it's one of those ones that just rolls off the fingers really nicely and sounds really jazzy and cool, but isn't actually that hard. And there's a lot of fancy stuff that I was doing there, which I will break down very slowly and at the end. But the tune itself isn't killer. So let's just dive right into it. Ooh, so we get some jazziness in there. So we have starting right down on the G string. So that is a G, a full G arpeggio all the way up the octaves. That's G, B on the G string, and then D, open D, and then G on the D. And then we're going to play with the seventh a little bit. We're going to do. So that first F that I'm doing there isn't exactly an F natural. You can start at F natural. But where we're going to eventually head is to this kind of in-betweeny seventh. Do you hear how that's kind of sharp for an F natural and kind of, it's just in between? So that is exactly what we're going for. It's like almost a semitone, or it's like in technical terms, it would be a semitone. But it's just kind of a bluesy seventh note. That's how I think about it. So, this is the joy of no frets. We get to play the in-between notes. Isn't that fun? So let's try that. We have our arpeggio. And then we're going to do that bluesy seventh. And then go up to the F sharp. So we have, let's call it F natural for the sake of argument. Open D. And then an F sharp. And then G. Try that again. Now, if you even want to make that little low seventh there even more ambiguous, you can slide up with your finger just a little eensy weensy tiny bit. Oh yeah, that's getting happy. Again, the joy of no frets. So that's the first phrase. The next one is. So that's nice and easy. Almost the same thing, except instead of going up to the G, we'll go. That's down on the G string. You got a C and a B right there. So the whole phrase is. Okay, so let's start from the bottom and start from the top. Start from the top of the tune and start from the bottom of your G string. So you might be listening to the tone, the way I'm playing that. I'm really kind of getting in there. I'm getting right into the grit. Kind of a little bit to the point where it's almost a little uncomfortable. And I'm doing that on purpose. I'm trying to really dig into my string. Because when I go fast, it's going to be really dug in there. the next phrase is the same as the first. I'm sorry, I lied. So those last two notes are going to be your B and C on your A string. And then the last phrase is nice and easy. So that's just on the A string. So that's D, B, C, B. What did I say? D, B, C, D. That's what I meant to say. So that's just your B on the A string and the G on the D string together. And we're giving that a little pulsing bow. So I'm kind of sliding into a double stop there. Excellent. Okay, so what I'd like to do there is I kind of like to add a little twiddle. So that's technically just a little triplet with some, like a little run of neighbor notes there. There's video on neighbor notes in the ornamentation section. Okay, so that's it. That's the whole A part. Let's start from the very top. So I like to just slam on the G for the repeat there. So let's try that again. And we can do this a little bit slower. And then back down again. So that's it. That's the whole A part. And when it goes fast, there's going to be some syncopated things that happen there. But I'm going to wait until the end to talk about that because that's a whole minute that we'll spend. I would love to just move on to the B part here because it's really easy. Okay, so that's the first whole big phrase, but we'll cut it into a couple of smaller pieces. Starting up on your E string, going up to the G. So that's just open E, G, and A there. And then the second phrase. So that's G, E, down to the A string, D, B, D, C, sorry, and then B to G. See how gritty I'm getting with my bow? Don't be afraid of the grit and the grab. Okay. Got that? And so if you want to, you can add a double stop with your first finger on your A string. That's a B. So you're going to have a nice G chord there. And I like to hammer on there. And then do a little shake of vibrato. If you watch the vibrato video, I talk about how to add a little tiny shake of vibrato as an ornament. So that's just a little, a little something there. So that's after we've done the A part. And then we slam into that. So I added a little trill there too. You can do that if you want. So that's just a third finger trill there. So now the second phrase. So that's a little squirrely. Let's go over that slow. So you could also play something like that, but I kind of like that whole run right up there. It kind of, there's something very satisfying about that. So just in case you're wondering, that's B to G, and then A to G, and then open E, and that's F sharp, G, A. So far we have, for the B part, and then I like to come into this last part with some steam on a big up bow. Woo, that's a lot. Okay. So let's start on a big up bow on our fourth finger. So this is a B at the top of the E string. So what's going on there? So we have another little bluesy note in there. So I'm sneaking in a little B flat. So that's like a little B flat trill, and it's just da ba dee da 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 da. It's just kind of give it some bluesy flavor. So let's try that again. One more time. So that's ending on the A there, and then back down to the G. And you could do that same pulsing bow if you want to, but there's something about that, you know, coming out of that top line where I like to add a little sort of Irishy sounding roll in there. So you can do that if you want. If you want to stick to the Americana stuff, then feel free to do that. But it's nice to kind of mix things up every once in a while, and that's what I do. So I'll show you what I do. So I'm doing a roll there. Again, there's a video on rolls you can check out in the ornamentation section. So it's a little fourth finger, and it's not really on a note. It's barely anything. It's almost a little bit low and close to my finger. It's going so quickly. There's no note involved, really. And you could keep it up a little bit higher and keep it on pitch if you want. But there isn't really time for that, to be totally honest. It goes by so fast. So that's just me trilling on my fourth finger and then lifting up the third finger. So starting from the top. that again. Woo! And we're almost to the end. We have one more phrase. So that's, I'm kind of ringing the open G there, but you don't have to do that, but I like to do that. So that's just running all my fingers up the D string. That is E, what is this? F sharp, G. So that's running up the D string and then up the A string. So open A, B, C, D, E, and then going for an F natural, low 1. So let's start that from the F on the top. So that's a D and a C on the A string. And then B, G, G. And I like to add a little roll there. If I can, if I have time. If I don't, then I just do the pulse. Okay, whew, that was a lot of stuff. I think we should take the last 2 phrases together, starting from this top B. Got it? All right, so let's try it one more time. Up in the B, and then do that little B flat, and then G all the way down, and then ring out your G string, F natural, all right, so we made it through the B part. Well done. This is a tricky tune. I mean, it's not super complicated, but there's a lot going on. And this B part is just so much fun. So let's start on that double stop at the top again and try the whole B part. Repeat. So we made it through the whole tune, and we should start it again, but there's one thing I want to talk about at the beginning. So I want to talk about doing some syncopated rhythms here, whereas you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. See that down down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And what I'm doing there is I'm accenting those notes. I'm putting more emphasis on those 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So if you can, I want you to think about doing that on the A part. And this is a lot to put all together at the same time, but it's kind of fun at the same time. So it sounds like this. Let's play the whole tune. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so one thing I should mention is that in the original sort of bluegrass version, and this is the version that a lot of people play, they do this funny little lag at the end. They do a kind of what's called a crooked ending. And it can be anywhere between a half a bar to a whole bar. It's basically, you know, if you listen to the Bill Monroe version, it's how they did it. And they sort of left that little G for an extra half a second while the guitar does a G run. And everybody wants to do that because it's kind of classic. It's a really cool sound. So there are a lot of tunes that are crooked and, you know, what we call crooked, where they just have a little extra bit stuck on somewhere. And that is somewhere where a lot of people are going to do just an extra little tiny couple of beats. And it actually doesn't affect the fiddle tune part so much, but people, you know, kind of play it that way and they add that in, especially if they're playing with bluegrass band. So just something for you to know about, that if you're playing this tune with people, they might expect for, you know, the end of this tune to have that little piece in there. I don't personally play that. I use this tune for dances where everything needs to be like a straight 32 bars. And so I cut it and just do the tune as is. So I would play at the end of the B part there, I would play. So that was kind of clear as mud. You know, just at the end. I go straight into the A part again without doing any kind of You know, there's all kinds of things that people do at the end there. Sometimes they do it twice, sometimes they do it just once. So there's just something to know about. Again, it's not something I do and not something I'm doing particularly well right now because I'm not used to doing it. You can change a crooked tune and do what's called straightening out. You can straighten out a crooked tune, especially something like that where it's easy to just, you know, cut off the end. That's kind of, you know, superfluous to the tune. As far as the, you know, the fiddle part is concerned. So that's something you can do. It's not something you should do all the time. It's good to know both versions. It's good to know the crooked version and the regular version. But again, I'm not super great at the crooked version of this tune. I know lots of other crooked tunes though, so it doesn't really matter. This one I love, you know, doing the straight version, and I use it for, again, for jamming and contra dances, and it just works so well without that extra bit stuck on there. And, you know, it's one of those things where if I'm playing with somebody who's adding that extra bit, it feels really natural. It doesn't really feel like you're doing an extra thing. It just kind of flies by. So let's talk about those syncopations again. I want to revisit that because when you get this tune going faster, it's something that you're going to want to do, because if you're playing a tune like this, if you're going 1 1 1 1 1 1, it's gonna start to feel really heavy and kind of you know, it's like da. It's too much down, 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 down. So if you do these syncopated rhythms, so you're basically, instead of going down, 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 you're going down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. And that's much nicer. It's much nicer for the dancers, especially. Everyone will thank you for doing this. It really adds so much for so little effort. But it does take a little bit of practicing that bow. So I'll show you how that syncopation. So I'll show you how that goes. So fast, it sounds like this. So my bow is going down, up, 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 down, up. Do you see how much of a difference that makes? It makes a huge difference. And this tune also, another thing I like to do, I sometimes play this tune with a big rock band. And another thing to do is to kind of do the rock fiddle thing and make your bow go glassy. So you basically lighten up on your bow so it sounds really like there's no pressure on your bow and it sounds really kind of light. And when you do that, you kind of bring out the natural harmonics in the strings. But if you've ever wondered how people do that when they're sounding kind of rock and roll, that's what you do. What is happening there? I'm just not putting any weight on my bow, and I'm pulling a little bit too much. So it's kind of like something you would do by accident when you were first learning. And now I'm going to do it on purpose. And if I play right up on the bridge too, it gets even worse. So if you ever wondered how to sound like that, that's how that's happening. But again, you don't have to put that in. If that's a little too much for you, then that's cool. And then I do throw some quadruple stops into the B part if I can make it. So what I was doing there was kind of throwing a quadruple stop and and then throwing a little triple stop. And that's just because that's as far as my bow can make it the second time around there. So if that's something you want to play around with, go ahead. And so that's all I have to say about this tune. That's kind of a lot, but I hope you enjoy at least, getting into some of that. I would definitely go ahead and experiment with some of that stuff, even if you don't end up playing it in your final version. It's good to try out a bunch of this stuff and see how you feel about it. Because again, when you're developing your sound, you want to try lots of different things. And you might surprise yourself at how easy some of this stuff is when you try it. So get stuck right in there. And I hope you enjoyed this tune, and I hope you explore all of the options with it. And I will see you in the next video.